All right, so let me ask you this question while we're waiting. When you were in Sunday school, there was a lesson about a fellow named Noah. What was there some sign that was given at the end of the great flood to mankind? What was that? Anybody know? Come on. Everyone say it one time. What was it? Rainbow. Rainbow. That's correct. A rainbow was after the flood, wasn't it? And what was the lesson of that? What did God say He would never do again?
Flood the earth.
Flood the earth. Now everybody knows that, right? Well, you know, hate to pick on a fella, but this is the number one guy that should know better, according to a whole bunch of people.
What?
Exactly.
No way.
I know. And that's when Joanne and I saw this. You go, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, that's basic Bible 101, right? When you're a little kid.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, you learn this.
What should that tell you?
He's been off for a
He's
long
not
time.
reading the Bible.
He doesn't have a clue what the Bible says. If he can't figure that one, well, I think there. Now, again, I hate to be hard on an individual, but here's an individual that's supposed to be representing the largest Christian group, the Roman Catholic Church in the world, and this guy doesn't know the Bible. Here I provided Genesis 9:15 through 16. It's easy to look up. I hit a bow in the Bible. Boom, I was there. So again, we've discussed this before. In the end times, there's going to be two individuals that rule the world. One is going to run the spiritual side of things. It's called the one world religion, and that is forming right now. There's so much news. I wish I'd have formed that. There in Berlin, Germany, they are forming a worship facility that has a mosque, that has a synagogue, and that has a church in it in Berlin. And it's called the One World Faith Organization or something like that. Okay, so I'll bring that one next week if I remember. But there's another faith story that's even worse than that. But anyway, I present this to you to show, I think this, if someone's going to be a front runner for the false prophet, it's the Pope right now. It is. Don't see runner number two. Some people, I mean, and that was theorized long ago. In fact, Martin Luther said that he was the Antichrist. I don't believe that. But I believe this guy could very well be the false prophet. Why? Because he doesn't believe in the Bible, and he calls himself a Christian. He doesn't believe in any of the tenets of faith that you and I just discussed tonight. He believes that faith is in a church that provides salvation to man, not in God's hands. So anyway, I think he's the front runner. We can get more into it later. Are there a lot of Catholics that if they have a faith relationship, they're saved? But it's not because of the church, it's despite of the church. And I've talked to them before, and I know some that are real firm in Jesus Christ. I think they'll be saved, but that's up to the Lord. But I tell you what, this is wrong right here. This is so wrong, we all laughed at it. Okay, let's move along. You might have seen this one in the headlines. This is one that you just go, what have we come to in the United States? God's will is no concern of this Congress. Well, you know what? If God proves over and over again, and in fact he says it in the scripture, that God is long-suffering and he allows other nations to go their own way. So we're going our own way, and who's going to greet us along the way as a nation? Satan will, because it's his world. So if you're not drawing near to God, you're drawing farther away from God. So this nation's going farther away from God when we allow things like this. And what are we discussing here? They were discussing the Equality Act, in which basically they are going to give rights to the LGBTQ, and I saw where they added 2 or 3 more on there today.
Right.
But I'm not keeping up with anymore. It gets to the point. It's ridiculous anyway. It's getting even more ridiculous as we go along. Someday, probably what I've recorded here, just saying that, I will be kicked off YouTube, and I will be considered a bigot and a racist and homophobic and all kinds of stuff.
Dangerous.
I'm a dangerous individual, but I tell you what, that's just all right out of the Bible. I will never stop preaching what is in the Bible or teaching what is in the Bible. And this is counter to God, and you can tell that by the ones that are sponsoring it when they can say they don't care what God says. We're not doing that God thing in our country. So anyway, sad state of affairs, but we need to be aware of it as Christians. Apostasy, Laodicean Church. Did you see this one? Read these titles. I'll read it. Millions of Methodists will go left, but millions more will go right. John Wesley is weeping. I'm sure Christ is as well. The latter-day apostate Methodist Church fully appears. It has been fought for years, but the name of this church, they're going to form, it's called the Globalist Methodist Church, and the reason it is listed as that is because all of the leftist moving Methodists are a majority in the United States. The only reason this kept from getting voted in is because here it is, says most U.S.-based delegates opposed the plan and favored pro-homosexual options. They were outvoted by U.S. conservatives, teaming with most of the delegates from Methodist strongholds in Africa and Philippines.
Isn't that something? African. Okay.
Well, again, that's just the state of the world, and we were told that there would be a fallen way in the latter days, and I'll go ahead and read this scripture on 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. The latter days. The day of the Lord, that last 7 years of the tribulations, except there come a falling away first, and that a man of sin be revealed. And of course that's the Antichrist, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth at the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Which of course is a reference back to Daniel, 9th chapter, 27th verse, when it says the abomination of the desolation shall stand forth and declare himself God. And this is all in the same thing. So we should expect this. It's just hard to see. It breaks my heart that this is going on. But this too was foretold and predicted, so we shouldn't be surprised. But again, we have to watch these things. Any questions? You can go and look this one up yourself. Okay. All right, not the mark of the beast. I fight this one all the time online on what is the mark of the beast. I've got a video out there. It's been looked at over 600 times. It got a lot of press, a lot of people looking at it. I wrote an article on it. What is the mark of the beast? And the mark of the beast is always tied to beast worship. You don't get the mark of the beast unless you worship the beast. So everything, when I say mark of the beast, it's just the controlling technology and the controlling mindset of people to get us to mark of the beast. This does that. It's a global control system that is forming. All the countries of the world were doing that. Right now we see this green pass down here discussed in Israel for COVID-19. We see Europe. They said, oh, we're going to do it by this summer. They put it on speed overdrive, and they're going to have it in the next couple of months. So they are putting this in place. The UK might be signing up too. How are they controlling these people? Nobody can leave the country. Nobody can come into the country unless they have, and some people say it's going to be a piece of paper. Some people say it's going to be an app. You're going to have one of the two. So they will know you, and they will control you and where you're going for tourist purposes or for business purposes. Because many people have to travel for business. Guess what? The government is controlling that, and they have an app in place to do that, or they will. Now, will the United States fall in line? Oh, yeah. If you want to go travel in Europe, if you want to go to Israel, guess what you'll have? You'll have one too. I'll have one too. Now, it's easy for me to say I don't care because the government owns me anyway. They've got my DNA. I was in the military. They know everything about me, where I live. So there's no place for me to hide. So where do I hide? In the bosom of Christ. Because that's the only safe place it's going to be when it gets to this point of the mark of the beast. Unless we're raptured up first. Yes, sir.
What about people who say they won't take the vaccine for religious reasons?
They won't go. They don't. You already saw here what was the opinion of the government. God's will is no concern of the government. That's your problem. Do you want to go there or not? So what are you going to do? That's why I brought up this verse at the bottom. It says, and no man might buy or sell. That's what it's going to be in the tribulation period. But this, again, we're just running up to that. People are willing to do this, to travel and for business purposes. But again, this is not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast occurs when the beast says to you, you will worship me, which means be in covenant relationship with me. And then I will allow you to have my mark, and I will allow you to eat and have access to the medical system and have access to the transportation system. It's going to be a tough decision. Where are you going to go? Yes.
All of these things in the book of Revelation stage are being said.
Yes.
The cryptocurrency, that's your one world government money.
Could be.
You know, you just talked about that global church that they're talking about, the one world religion.
Yep.
That's just the stage being set up so that these things can become everyday ideas to all the people.
It's the old frog in the boiling pot kind of thing, right? A little bit at a time. It's probably a urban legend about the frog in the boiling pot, but we can all relate to it, can't we? Anyway, that's going on. Big Middle East news and a bunch of Middle East news. And again, our preface behind this is with Trump gone and a weak Biden-Harris snubbing Israel and backing their enemies, the Middle East peace is thrown into a tailspin. Now, I wrote that 2 months ago when I threw it up here. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because I know what the Bible says eventually is going to occur in that region of the world. So I'm just showing you the headlines that say, okay, it looks like we're going there. So we have a looks like we're going there, a lot of them this time. Syria war, Russia jets bomb ISIS positions in the desert region. How many of us knew that Russia was still over there messing around? Does it get any press? No. The U.S. is too concerned about who's the latest heartthrobs in Hollywood. I don't even know. Used to be Miley Cyrus, but she's probably too old right now. She's 23 or something. And gone to somebody younger. But anyway.
French Bulldogs.
French Bulldogs, okay. I did hear that Lady Gaga got it back. Whew! I was losing sleep over that one. Anyway.
Shot her dog walker to get him.
Anyway, we spend time in the nonsense. I mean, it's the shiny thing. Look at this shiny thing. Ignore what's really going on. Here's a shiny object over here. Woo-hoo, look at this. So anyway, Russia's still there. They are still the God, and they are still in that area. They are heavily influencing Syria. Syria is dependent upon them and Iran for their existence. Bashar Assad would have been thrown out there long ago. All right, next one. White House declassifies Jamal Khashoggi's report, and he was the one that was killed in Turkey, chopped up into pieces, thrown brains in Istanbul. Who did it? The Saudi crown prince did this. Prince Salman. Anyway, Biden-Harris internationally embarrassed the Saudis. They're rubbing his nose in it, and they're telling everybody about it, which is... Do you think that's good for our relationship with Saudi Arabia? No, it's poking him in the eye. And in fact, here it is. This is what's going on. Saudi Arabia says it's intercepting ballistic missile attacks over the capital and blames it on Iran-allied Houthis as tensions rise in the Middle East. Saudi is thrown in this terrible position. They were allies with the United States, and we were with them in a unified front against Iran. Saudi is essentially in an undeclared war with Iran, with the proxies down there in Yemen, and they have been abandoned by Harris Biden. That is all facts. That's all right out of the news. More on that Middle East power vacuum. Biden carries out strikes against Iranian-backed militia facilities in Syria. That is a fact. Biden then warns Iran, be careful following U.S. airstrikes in Syria. Now, you think the Ayatollahs are really going to be shook up about that?
He didn't even say it with that much emphasis. I saw it.
So anyway, another analysis by the Jerusalem Post. Again, that is the prime newspaper in Israel, which is, again, the center of thought in Israel. Iran deal. There's insufficient diplomatic strength to stop Tehran. Quest for a nuclear weapon is what that's saying. And that's true. Do you think they're concerned by Biden? No. Report, Iran demands $1 trillion from U.S. in reparations to return to a nuclear deal. What guts? They're wanting $1 trillion. And do you think you could trust them after that?
No.
Now, I tell you right now, there's a tit for tat going on who's going to blink first between the United States and Iran. I'm going to cut this out of this video, but I'll tell you that it is ongoing there, and it's not getting any better till somebody blinks. And who do you think is going to be the one that blinks first? More news continued. Middle East news. These are again from the Jerusalem Post, the ones in the background here. This proxy war has been going on since 2016. The Syrian army says Israel attacks areas around southern Damascus. No doubt about it. I'm sure that's true. Syrian government claims to have shot down an Israeli missile over the capital of Damascus after President Biden launches his first military action. Sure, that's true. Iran rejects offer from U.S. and EU to hold talks on its nuclear ambitions 2 days after Biden ordered strike. So Iranians are essentially playing hardball with the U.S. Why? Because of who they're dealing with. And you hear Saudi Arabia's plea, don't bully Riyadh, Saudi columnist tells Biden administration. What does all this do? Embolden Iran. It says down here in the corner, Iran signals credit for attacks on the U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia. So what is this doing? Just like we thought it would. It's getting to be a mess over there. So this is the big news of the day for me, because this is the key players that are shown in Sheba and Dedan that is right out of Ezekiel 38 and 39. My line is Trump's Abraham Accord started the dialogue, and the pro-Iran, anti-Israel, anti-Saudi Biden government cements this alliance. With the United States pulling back, what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? Well, they're trying to protect themselves. The enemy of my enemy is their friend. The biggest enemy of the Saudis are the Iranians. And they are joining forces with Bahrain and the UAE and Israel. You would not have conceived this of happening a year ago. Well, 4 or 5 months ago. Why? Because the slides have flipped. Who was once our enemies over there are now we're trying to suck up to, and the ones that who are our friends are now we're turning our back on them. So what are they supposed to do? And behind all this, I read this article and I go, yeah, right. Iran and Turkey appear to be on collision course in Iraq. I think that's wishful thinking, because I've read the Bible and I know that all those nations get together and they go to the mountains of Israel and are destroyed.